If you're interested in making money online, this video is for you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I'm George Pierce, and this video is about squeeze pages. And what I'm going to share with you is a little bit of information about creating a squeeze page, mainly the ways to make it effective. If you need help with the squeeze page creation, you'll find a link below which will walk you through the process. It's pretty simple. So I'll leave a link below for that. Again, I'm not going to go over the creation of a squeeze page, but just sort of a reminder, if you want, if you're not familiar with these, click on that other link or click on the link below, and that will help you with the actual creation of the squeeze page. But this is just to share with you the ingredients of a squeeze page, which is typically a headline, possibly a sub-headline, and then either a video or usually an image. And the image could be people abusing your product, for example. Then there would be some kind of a call to action, and probably an arrow pointing down. This might be a little bit large, perhaps a smaller arrow pointing down. Your email sign-up form, and then some kind of reassurance such as your information is safe, secure, and confidential, will never be shared, sold, or given away, or what have you. And then usually 4 or 5 bulleted features and benefits, especially the benefits. The benefits are what sell. And then typically another arrow pointing to the sign-up section. On the other hand, this is a kind of a standard, typical squeeze page, and pretty much standard operating procedure, standard ingredients. On the other hand, a simple one-line and email form sometimes work. In other words, discover my secret to earning $1,127 a day online, and then an email form. So I did want to just share that with you in case you're not familiar with squeeze pages. But I did want to share that with you just in case you're not familiar with squeeze pages. What is an effective squeeze page? Well, an effective squeeze page is one that's going to get conversions, it's going to get subscribers. Think of your squeeze page as a door, okay? And your visitors on this side of the door, and you want them on that side of the door. In order to get them on that side of the door, they need a key. The key is their email address, so they need to give you that. They need to insert that key into that block to unlock the door to get what's on the other side of that door, to get that value. Why would they want to put the key in the door? Why would they want that? What you and I have to do is to build enough value on this side of the door to get them to put that key in there, to get them to give us their email address so that they'll go to the other side of the door. Now, what it takes sometimes is really hard to say, and that is not what you want to hear, and that's not really what I want to tell you, but unfortunately there's a certain amount of truth. You may be able to relate to what I'm going to share with you. You create an article, for example, or a press release or whatever, and man, as far as you're concerned, that's the best doggone article I've ever written. And it flops. It just dies. What that means is that what you or I think is going to work doesn't always work. So we've got to do our best to put ourselves in our visitor's shoes, relate to our visitor, and build the value. They're not going to turn that key. They're not going to go to the other side of that door. They're not going to subscribe unless there's enough value. That doesn't mean we've got it. This is what's almost crazy about this. Sometimes 2 simple lines can be all the value they need. And there's 2 kinds of value, and one is the actual value, the true value. The other is the perceived value. And it's really the perceived value because they really don't know exactly what they're getting until they get over there and get it. So unless we do a lengthy sales page almost, or a lengthy video on our squeeze page, they really don't have a whole lot of information to go on. But they need a promise or they need a perceived value. We have to either give them a promise or perceived value. Let's say that we find an affiliate that pretty much says, you know, $1,000 a week. You're going to be able to make $1,000 a week. Well, that is possibly all we need to get them to get the other side of the door. But it depends on the viewer or the visitor, of course, but it also depends on the offer and sometimes how we word the offer. And that's where we get into what the next step, which I want to get to, is called testing and tweaking, or actually going to tweak and then test. So this is what the experts do. They do their best, they have the knowledge, they have the tools, they usually come up with a sales page that is probably going to work, but not necessarily going to work. It's not guaranteed. And it's just like, you know, you create a squeeze page that you think is the best doggone squeeze page, and it flops. And then you can create a squeeze page or a video, and it's an okay video or it's an okay squeeze page. And next thing you know, everybody and their uncle is making comments and viewers and so on. And it's getting all kinds of traffic. So it's a little difficult to know for sure what's going to work. But there's a couple of things that we can do. What we want to do to try to make sure that our squeeze page is going to work is to give features and benefits, or sometimes problem and solution. Identify the problem, click here for the solution. Here's your problem, click here for the solution. That's why I say it can be that simple. And sincerely can be that simple. Your problem is you want to make more money on the internet. Click here to make $1,000 a week. Click here for proof of $1,000 a week. That is almost better. If you can share proof, or if you can send them to proof, then you can create what's called a bridge page. So if you have proof or can show proof, then you can show the proof. Click here for proof. But the idea is that you want to take them through your sales funnel, and if you don't give them enough value up front, then they're not going to go. They're not going to open the door. Okay, but it's not necessarily a whole lot of value that makes that work. So visitors will give you their email address when they feel that it's worth it. So in order for you and I to make it worth it, we have to provide them with enough value. That, again, that can be promised value, perceived value, but it's got to be enough value for them to be willing to give us their address. Now, even when we do this and do this well, the industry average is supposedly around 2% as far as a conversion rate, meaning the number of people that are actually going to subscribe. It's amazing sometimes what a couple of small changes can, and the difference that it can make. But an effective squeeze page, its job is to deliver, if not, again, to over-deliver that value, to make it worth it for them to put that key in the door. When you talk about your program, or whatever it might be, talk about the benefits. How are they going to benefit from them? Allow me to give you some tips that you probably already know, but they're the things to keep in mind as far as your squeeze page. Number one, just common sense. If you look at a squeeze page, would you give your email address if you were landing on this squeeze page? And if the answer is no, then there's probably a real good chance that that's the way most other people are going to feel, or maybe you need to change it up a little bit. Again, 98% of the people are probably not going to subscribe, but we don't want to miss out on that 2%. And it would be certainly nice if we could get 5% or 10%. And those numbers are possible, but that doesn't happen every time. But it does happen when we do something called, again, tweaking and testing. Just through experience, You're just going to learn what works. Now, the other thing that most people are not aware of, that is to make your squeeze page, and if you have a bridge page, to make your bridge page quite similar to your affiliates page as far as the way it looks. You don't want to have them going from one thing to something totally different to something totally different. You want it to look almost the same. It doesn't have to be identical, but you still want it to look close. Let's say that your affiliate has a green background, white letters, and maybe some red letters or what have you. You want your pages to have a green background, white letters, some red letters, some orange letters, whatever you want it to mimic your affiliate's page, the actual page that you're sending them. They're ultimately okay. That way they don't end up at some place that seems totally different. Now, don't give them the information that is on your affiliate's page. You want it to look the same, and that way there'll be a flow. There'll be a flow. There'll be a psychological flow. They won't recoil because it's different. It's psychologically the same, and you're taking them on a path. And if that path looks the same all the way through, they're much more at ease. They're much more likely to not leave, and that also makes it eventually much more likely that they're actually going to purchase. And of course, once they purchase, that means that there's also the chance for upsells and any other add-ons. I'm going to give you one more piece of advice: to not be in a hurry to go out and spend money on driving traffic to your squeeze pages when you're brand new. Unless your squeeze pages are professionally done by copywriters and so forth, all right, that might be a different story. But if you're the one that's creating these squeeze pages, drive some traffic to them. My suggestion would be to manually send traffic, to send free traffic to your sites, to your squeeze pages, and that way you've got an idea of just how well that squeeze page is performing. If it's not performing, then why in the world would you spend money to send people to a squeeze page that doesn't perform? Spending paid advertising is the best way to get traffic, in that it's quality traffic and it's virtually instant. But it does cost money, and if you're not getting any conversions, or if your conversions are minimal, then you're going to be losing money, and that's not the idea. It's not called losing money online, it's called making money online. And so that's a video that I'm going to be creating hopefully in the near future. But so all the more reason, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, ring the bell, and that way you won't miss out on these future videos. I do want to thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and allow me to wish you much success.